And we're back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Higher Standards Podcast. This is episode 68. I'm Mr. Jason Roscom. With us each and every single week is the talent, Bob. What's up, Bob?
Jason.
Yes?
Did you see what's in the top 8 this week?
I did. Of the Invitational, right?
Yeah. Yep.
No.
You can say it. Who was right? It's all right. It's okay. Just admit it. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid.
Yes, Collected Company is still pretty darn good, Bob.
Thank you!
Yes, and also with us is our social media coordinator, the man, Chad. What's up, Chad?
Hey, what's up, guys? Still got Avison flying in the back. Have you guys, on camera, seen an Avison flip ever?
Yeah. Oh, on camera?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I have.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Actually, good story. I was playing on Monday against Ramp, and I killed the guy with a flipped Avison and an unflipped Avison.
Oh.
So
I guess
I have
that works,
indeed seen
it?
one flip. Yeah, it does.
Wow.
It does indeed work.
That's so mean.
It's really mean.
That's a lot of power in the air.
Yeah, it was the only way I could win too, because he had Kozilek and Ulamog on the board, so I was definitely dead next turn.
I flash in my Avison and give my Avison indestructibility.
Well, that's what I did. He had Ulamog, and then it was Cal Jaden from our local from Gamers Vault. He played Kozilek with Ulamog on the board, and in response, I flashed my other Avison in.
Nice.
What were you playing?
I don't know, Jason. What do you think I was playing?
Collected Company. Well,
yeah.
because those lists are only running 2 Avison, right?
Yeah, I was only running 2. I just happened
to have your 2.
Well, Tireless Tracker really helps you kind of draw through your deck to find what you want. We can get into that later, but I was drawing a lot of cards.
Oh, boy. All right, so we're in week 2 of New Standard. We've got a couple of different tournaments all taking place in Columbus. It's Columbus, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Star City, yes. So we've got the Star City Invitational going on. Well, it just ended, actually. It's Sunday night. And it was a mixed format, standard and modern, though the top 8 was just standard.
Yay.
Some brutally painful rounds of standard.
No, it wasn't.
Get into that a little bit later. But, yeah, and there's also an actual Star City Open. I think it's over. Yeah, it was won by Josh Dickerson, but we don't have deck lists yet. Oh, never mind. Deck list just popped up. Yes! Oh, man, I can't wait to get to that.
Oh,
I just saw what won the Standard Open.
Right, so we'll get there.
Okay, so let's hop over to the Invitational, though, because in these mixed formats, it's important to know that they are mixed formats. So the guys that make top 8 with their Standard decks didn't necessarily do that well in Standard, but they also posted the Standard lists that did have the good records. So we've got our 7-1 or better Standard deck lists. So we're going to go ahead and run through these really quick. Bob, I'll start with you because this is your jam. So
this is what I do.
Yes,
this is what I do. All right, so we're just going to start right from the top.
Yeah, Grant Christopher.
Okay, Grant Christopher. Where? Oh, wait, we're going into the Open. Oh, you want to do the Open?
No. This is the 7-1 or better list.
This is the invitation.
Yeah. I got it. I got you.
If somebody would follow the order of the show notes, he wouldn't be lost.
I don't know how to read, Jason. I've told you this before.
I never learned to read.
I have to have Siri read it out to me, and then I have to repeat it to you.
He just follows the symbols on the top right of the cards and just throws things.
Anyway, so 7 or 1 better deck list. Grant Christopher. Bant Company. 4 Bounding Krasis, 1 Den Protector, 4 Duskwatch Recruiter, 1 Hidden Dragon Slayer, 4 Reflector Mage, yes. 4 Sylvan Advocate, 2 Tireless Tracker, only 2 Tireless Tracker.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's for them.
2 Void Crafter. That's a little different.
Yes.
That is the 1 green-blue Eldrazi Devoid creature with Flash. That's a 2/4, and when he enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gains hexproof till the end of turn. 2 Archangel Avacyn, 2 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, and 1 Nissa Vastwood Seer, so 27 creatures. Rounding out his spell package, he has 4 Collected Company, 3 Dramoka's Command, and an Ojutai's Command, 25 lands. There are 4 Lumbering Falls, a Port Town. I mean, you guys can read the land list. It's pretty much standard.
But only 3 Evolving Wilds.
There are only 3 Evolving Wilds, so he cut one of those. Looks like he's playing a Yavimaya Coast instead, and that's probably because he's playing the Void Grafter. He's got a little bit more gold in the blue and green variety, so Just to make sure you can hit it. Then in your sideboard, he has a Den Protector, a Hermit of the Natternolls. So this is the 2 and a. This is a 2 and a green, 2/3 human werewolf. He's an uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad. It says whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, draw a card. And then he's a werewolf, so at the beginning of your upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform him. And when he transforms, he becomes a 3/5 werewolf. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, draw 2 cards.
Whew.
Yep.
Control can suck it.
Yeah, so you know that blue-red deck? Yeah, this this loves that blue-red deck.
Which I'm sure that's probably a response to that deck from last week.
Cast Tormenting Voice? Don't mind if you do. I will draw 2 cards right along with you, thank you very much. Oh, and I didn't have to pitch any either. Or I'll draw a card, rather. So, actually puts you up a card over your opponent, which is kind of funny. Anyway, 1 Hidden Dragon Slayer, 2 Lantern Scouts, 1 Stratus Dancer, 2 Clip Wings, 3 Negates, an Ojutai's Command, 2 Declaration Stone, and a Tragic Arrogance. Tragic Arrogance is a little hefty for a 25 land curve.
You know what,
it's just a one of.
It actually was kind of a player in the finals. It ended up not working out for him because he made a couple of bad choices after he cast that and when he cast that, but it was a player against the mono white because it essentially was a one-sided board wipe.
Yeah, this is definitely the go-to board wipe right now.
Sure. Okay, what to talk about with this deck? Well, we can talk about differences from last week. So this deck is only running 2 Jace, and most of them are. He's just not as good as he used to be. He doesn't flip as often. So you don't necessarily need 4 of them. Yeah. So he's running Void Grafter. I haven't played with it. Can't really comment on it. A lot of decks are running 4 Tireless Tracker this week. That card is busted and nuts.
That's that's when a land enters, you investigate, and he gets bigger.
He gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you investigate, and these guys stack. So if you have 2 of them on the battlefield, they get really big, really, really fast. And they both stack off each other too. So like if you pop if you play 1 land, you get 2 clues. If you pop both of those clues, they each get +2/+2. Nice. So that's it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's not the worst turn 4 play in the world.
No, I would imagine not.
Or turn 5 rather. Let's see. Still playing the Bounding Crasises, the Duskwatch Recruiters. Still got 1 Nissa in there and 2 Archangel Avacyn. Still 3 Dromoka's Command and Ojutai's Command. Pretty standard. Stratus Dancer back in the sideboard. We haven't seen that for a while.
Yeah.
And then he's shaved a Declaration of Stone for a Tragic Arrogance.
Now, let me ask you about the Ojutai's Command, because anybody who's listened to this show for any amount of time knows that I absolutely love this card. However, it seems kind of awkward in this deck.
Oh my god. So one of the best decks in the format plays your favorite card, and we're going to complain about this.
No, I'm just saying, I want your opinion because you've played this deck. So, like, how do you feel about Ojutai's Command in there? Especially as a one-of.
The way the whole deck plays out is kind of odd, and I only realized it halfway through starting to play this when I sat across from my opponents. People don't have a clue what you're holding when you have mana up. So when you have 4 mana up, you can have a Bounding Krasis, you can have an Ojutai's Command, you can have a Dromoka's Command, you can have a Collected Company. There's just so much stuff. You can have an Avacyn if it's 5 mana. I mean, there's just so much stuff in this deck that comes out at instant speed. And, basically, because the deck plays Collected Company, you could also have Reflector Mages. You could even have 2 of them, So Ojutai's Command kind of helps with the bluff factor a little bit, because your opponent always has to wonder whether you've got a counterspell hanging around. So it's like, turn 5, at the end of my turn, your turn, I flash in Avacyn, and then I wince as I hope that 4 mana is not an Ojutai's Command.
Right.
It works synergistically with the deck as a one-of. I would never want to draw... First off, it's in the 4 slot, which Collected Company is in as well. And for a 25 land deck, it's not a little top-heavy, but I guess the point is you don't want to have more than 1 4-drop in your hand in an opening hand. 2 Collected Companies sometimes is a keep, so you don't want to play more than 1 of these, but one of them is totally fine. I mean, and you can, it can get actually a lot of decent cards back from your graveyard. It can get your Den Protector back. It can get your Duskwatch Recruiter back.
Obviously,
it can
Jace.
get you, Jace, your Sylvan Advocate, which can become a house late game,
Yeah.
and it can be flashed back with Jace too. So when you flash it back, you can use it to draw a card, and late game you can use it to draw a card, which a lot of times with this deck you sorely need to do, and get your Sylvan Advocate back, which is just a big giant 4/5 blocker and an attacker with vigilance, and turns your battle lands on. So, I mean, the card's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
In the chat, Don Perrian says sideboard against decks with certain blue-white dragons and does okay against aggro decks. You don't want more than one.
Yeah, no, you don't want more than one. The 4 life gain can be huge. Flashing back or getting back on a turn 4 like your Hidden Dragon Slayer when they're attacking, an aggro deck's attacking and gaining 4 life. It's a 6 life swing, and you're probably picking something off with it.
Yeah.
So, it's a good card.
All right. Cool. Fair enough. And we saw this a lot over the weekend, and I have a feeling we're going to see this a lot, at least for the next 3 months. Who knows what's going to happen with the next set, Eldritch Moon, but yeah, Collector Company's real, man, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
friggin' awesome.
Yep.
We still have time for breakout cards to happen, or
and different archetypes and things like that. However,
no, Collector Company's going to oppress the entire season. It's going to be great.
I think Collected Company is going to be like the keystone for all these decks, but I think we're going to see we might see a Naya, we might see a John, stuff like that come out of the woodworks.
All right. Well, we'll see. All right, Chad, take the next deck.
All right, we've got a mono red aggro by Gray Davidson Carl. I'm not going to talk about his placing, but he had he went 7-1, and he had 22 creatures, 4 Falconwrath Gorger, which is the vampire that gives your other creatures madness, other vampire creatures.
Yeah.
He had 4 Goblin Glory Chaser, which is the renown, and it has menace if it gets renowned. He has 4 Lightning Berserker, 4 Reckless Bushwhacker, 2 Village Messenger. It's like every card I need to read on this thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
So Village Messenger is a human werewolf with haste for 1, and when it flips, it's
a 2/2
menace, and it's a 2/2. So, I mean, whatever. This is an aggro deck. And then for Zergo Bellstrikers to finish off the 22. For lands, he's got 20 mountains. Again, another deck with 20. We saw one last week.
Mm-hmm.
Spells, he's got 18, 4 Fiery Impulse, 3 Outnumber, 4 Titan Strength, 4 Dragon Fodder, 2 Exquisite Firecraft, and 1 Roast. Again, I said lands, he has 20. That's all. It's just 20 mountains.
Yep.
In sideboard, he's got 2 Gold Knight Castigator. This was a card that I wanted to see do really well. I'm glad it's actually seeing some sideboard play.
Yeah, we debated this card pretty heavily, too, during spoiler season.
So, I'll read it over. It's 2 generic red, and then it has Flying Haste. This is a mythic, by the way, an angel. It's a 4/9. If a source would deal damage to you, it deals double that damage to you instead. If a source would deal damage to Gold Knight Castigator, it deals double that damage to Cold Knight Castigator instead. So, I mean, it's got a wicked downside, but it could be really good. In continuing the sideboard, one Rending Volley, 2 Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. That's the creature flip. 2 Active Treason, 3 Boiling Earth, 1 Magnetic Chasm, 3 Roast, and 1 more Mountain. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we see that from time to time.
I guess it's when he goes up in cost, he just shoves that in.
Yeah, when he brings in the Gold Knight Castigators, probably.
2 Active Treason is kind of odd to me, considering we have an Eldrazi that does the exact same thing in creature form.
Yeah, but he's got no colorless mana. He doesn't want to splash for it, so
let's
just get him where he is.
Yeah, and pretty much every standard format has a mono red list. We did not see any last week, so this is really the first time we're seeing any kind of mono red build in this new standard. Seems all right. Just going wide with creatures. Reckless Bushwhacker is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this list.
No?
Yeah, and Don Perrian mentioned the Falconwrath Gorger is 1 mana, 2/1, and the rest of the text doesn't matter. So.
Yep,
pretty much.
I was just about to say that there are no other vampires in this deck other than the other Falconwrath Gorgers.
Yeah, it's a red Savannah Lion, essentially.
Yep. I mean, go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say Outnumber is an interesting choice, and I heard a lot of people talking about this before the set came out, about this card kind of coming back and making a splash in Standard. I think this was some of the guys locally, maybe Clay. But yeah, you're going wide with creatures. You're always going to have a crap load of creatures on the board unless you get Wrathed.
Yeah.
So Outnumber's a pretty solid piece of removal, I think.
This deck does everything that white or white X aggro does, and it does it worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, it's got 22 creatures. It has less creatures than white aggro. White aggro doesn't need the amount of removal this thing has because it just pumps its creatures up with Thalia's Lieutenants.
Yeah.
It's got some nice late game with Kithian, the decks that play him, which is a form of removal in and of itself if he flips. I think he's forcing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely feel that it's a stretch because I mean you have so much synergistic with the mono white because of the fact that it's working around the theme. It's working around all humans. This has to throw in vampires. This has to throw in orc warriors. This has to throw in goblins. Like it's got werewolves in it. I mean, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and this deck is a lot more susceptible to Kozilek's return. Whereas the mono white, they can kind of grow out of it.
It's completely susceptible to Kozilek's return.
Yeah. So, all right. It made a decent enough splash. It probably went 7-1. Looks like the guy didn't win a single modern game this weekend. But hey,
Yeah.
at least he did good in standard. Next, we had another Bant company list. The only major difference I'm seeing with this is one less Avacyn, one more Jace. So
no, he's also playing. Let's see. He has none of the. He's playing an extra Nissa and an extra Jace, and he's got the. He doesn't have the Eldrazi, the Flash Eldrazi.
Yeah, he doesn't have the Void Grafter.
yeah. And that's Logan Mize. Below him is another Bant company list that is running Void Grafter.
Seems like a trend we're going to be seeing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then moving down. All right, I'm going to read this next one. This is Raha Suleiman.
Okay.
He was playing white-black mid-range. We probably read this almost exact same deck list last week, but let's go ahead and refresh everybody's memory. He's got 15 creatures, 3 Eldrazi Displacers, 4 Knight of the White Orchid, 3 Wasteland Stranglers, 3 Archangel Avacyn, and 2 Islay Eternal Pilgrim. He's got 5 Planeswalkers in the form of 3 Gideon Ally of Zendikar and 2 Sorin Grim Nemesis. For spells, he's got a crap load of removal, 4 Silk Wraps, 2 Stasis Snares, 2 Anguished Unmaking, 2 Secure the Wastes, 3 Declaration in Stone, and 1 Read the Bones. He's got all the black-white lands you could ask for. He's also got Westvale Abbey, Foundry of the Consoles, and then a Singleton Battlefield Forge, just for good measure. For sideboard, he's got 1 more Wasteland Strangler, 2 Deadweight, like that card, 1 Quarantine Field, 2 Ultimate Price, 1 Linvala the Preserver, 2 Ob Nixilis Reignited, 3 Duress, 2 Read the Bones, and a Tragic Arrogance. It's back again. It's the black-white mid-range. They were calling it last week black-white Eldrazi. Pretty much the same deck.
Why? I don't. And I've looked at some other black-white mid-range too, and I don't. This deck in particular, I don't like this deck at all.
Really?
No Languishes, no Flaying Tendrils in the sideboard. What the hell? I mean, you're going up against either. It's assured. You're either going up against white X humans or Bant Company. Yes. You're going to play it, and you're going to play it a lot. So, playing against a deck like this, I love it when they play Planeswalkers. I just collect a company at the end of their turn and then kill their Planeswalker. Yeah, whereas Languish, at least you trade card for card. So they collected company, you Languish, you're both down a card. And that's what this deck wants to do. It's a ton of spot removal. You're just trying to kill every single thing that they throw on the board until you get like a Sorin out. Or you can play some Read the Bones and, kind of refill your hand or start to grind out some card advantage. And Collected Company gets around that very easily. And, white humans... so I get it. You have Wasteland Strangler. So you can pop stuff. You have Knight of the White Orchid. It's a first striker, but, dude, Thalia's Lieutenant can make this stuff bigger than Knight of the White Orchid very, very easily.
True, but he's got a lot of good spot removal for cards like Thalia's Lieutenant, which I would imagine his matchup against humans is probably pretty good. His matchup against Company is probably pretty bad. So
I'd like to point out the synergy with Eldrazi Displacer and Wasteland Strangler. He has so many things that exile that if he flashes, if he what are we calling it now?
Displaces.
Yeah, displaces his Wasteland Strangler once or twice. He gets that -3/-3 every time. So and that's one synergistic part. I mean, Jason's right about he's got ton of removal for the humans.
Yeah,
Declaration in Stone helps against company decks, but in the long run. Company could probably overpower it end game.
Sometimes.
Yeah. All right. It's but I mean, we've been seeing this a couple of times here and there. We saw several decks last week, so it's something to keep an eye on. Maybe they just kind of haven't found the right build yet. But I do kind of agree with Bob too. You do want some kind of mass removal in here, even if it's just in the sideboard.
I mean, look, and Don, I think, said it on the chat. I mean, Eldrazi Displacer is what makes this entire engine run, and everything kind of plays off of it. Your Avacins. You do have Eiley to gain you some life. I'm sure it's got a fine matchup. I don't know. Even Flaying Tendrils in the sideboard, maybe?
Yeah. It's something to think about and something to watch the evolution of this deck as we go along.
Exactly.
Sure.
Especially since we got the Pro Tour next week. All right. Bob, you want to take this next one?
Sure. So this is White Blue Humans by Josh Cho. He took 33rd place. So 29 creatures, 2 Bygone Bishops. This card is awesome. 2 Consul's Lieutenant. I like it.
Okay.
I mean, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
4 Knight of the White Orchids, 4 Flector Mage, 4 Thalia's Lieutenant, 4 Thraben Inspector, 4 Town Gossip Monger, 2 Archangel Avathan, and 3 Kythian Hero of Akaros. He's playing 22 lands, an island, 13 plains, 4 Port Town, 4 Prairie Stream, 3 Always Watching, 2 Stasis Snare, 4 Declaration Stone. In the sideboard, he's walking with a Bygone Bishop, 2 Silk Wraps, 3 Negates, 2 Ojutai's Command, 2 Dragon Lord Ojutai, 2 Gideon Ally of Zendikar, 2 Tragic Arrogance, and an island. I like the island in the sideboard. He's got some pretty top-heavy stuff in there.
Yeah.
So you can kind of slot that island in just to help you with your curve.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Bygone Bishop. I mean, it's certainly something you can side out if it's not good in a matchup, but it gives you a little bit of endgame with this deck.
Yeah, and just to kind of remind people, too, it's a 2/3 flyer. When you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, you get to investigate.
I mean, it certainly doesn't go with the rest of the deck. It's not a human. It's a spirit cleric, so it doesn't play off of any of that.
However, good synergies with the rest of the creatures in your deck.
Yes, it is. So there is that. Thraben Inspector is a great card. A 1/2 for 1 that lets you draw cards the next turn. Pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played a lot with Town Gossip Monger. I don't like the card, but maybe it's just me. I haven't actually played with it, so.
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's a 1/1 with upside, so.
Yeah, seems okay.
Yep.
Yes. Moving on, Chad, do you want to take this next one, even though we kind of talked about this list last week also?
Sure. This is a Black Green Company by Frank Davis. He's running... Yeah, we should go over this. This is a little different. He's running 31 creatures, 4 Catacomb Sifter, 4 Elvish Visionary, 3 Fleshbag Marauders, sounds a lot like Rally, 4 Nantuko Husk, 3 Relentless Dead. Now, this is a card that we haven't seen too often.
Oh, yeah, we haven't seen it at all.
4 Sylvan
in this new
Advocate,
standard.
4 Zulaport Cutthroat, 3 Liliana Heretical Healer, 3 Nissa Vastwood Seer. This is 24 lands.
2 Nissus.
Oh, thank you. 2 Nissa Vastwood Seer. 24 lands, 4 Forest, 9 Swamp, 2 Foul Orchard, which is the uncommon tap land, 4 Hissing Quagmire, 4 Lanalore Waste, and 1 Westvale Abbey. For spells,
Because why not?
Yeah, for spells it's got 5, 1 Evolutionary Leap, and 4 Collected Company. In the board, 1 more Fleshbag Marauder, 3 Minister of Pain, 2 Pitiless Horde, 1 more Evolutionary Leap, 4 Ultimate Price, 3 Duress, and 1 Self-Inflicted Wound. I think Ultimate Price is getting well played in these decks now that we're
getting better.
So many mono white humans. So yeah, 3 Relentless Dead. What about that?
It's interesting because I mean this is kind of the wannabe rally deck, right? It's the deck that wants to step into the place now that the Collected Company rally list is gone, and I guess Relentless Dead, you get some value out of it when you sack it to whatever your remaining sack outlets are.
Ooh,
I mean,
like
you actually get a lot of value with it. I mean, you sack it, give Nantuko Husk +2/+2, spend 3, replay your Fleshbag Marauder, kill something on the field, attack in, sack. I mean, this deck has a lot of recursion going on.
Yes.
I would have to play it to really see how good it does, but it's definitely synergistic.
Yeah, you have to feel it out, and it seems like the Relentless Dead works very well with, like Bob was saying, the Nantuko Husk, the Fleshbag Marauder, the Zulaport
I like the
really-
inclusion of Sylvan Advocate. It's kind of gives the deck a little more reach. It makes it a little less narrow because it's just
It,
Gives
it
it good
gives you
endgame.
it gives you a 4/4 Death Touch creature,
yeah.
which is pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I kind of like this. It's rally-ish, but it's pretty decent.
Yep.
So
It's
the
like-
next,
It looks like fun without having to shuffle your deck over and over again.
yeah, the next deck we had another white-black mid-range. Big glaring difference I'm seeing with this one is a Linvala the Preserver in the main, and Bob, there you go. There's Languish, 2 in the main.
There's Languish. It has. It's also playing 2 Secure the Waste in the main, along with 2 Westvale Abbeys, so it's got that combo stuck in there. I played Linval a lot in testing when the new set was coming out. I really, really liked her. Certainly, I guess, for the way the format is now, with all the humans decks running around, she's probably a little slow. But with what this deck does, you lose life with Read the Bones. You can lose life early on if you can't remove everything. She kind of just gets you right back in the game. You're typically always having less creatures and less life than your opponent when she comes down.
Okay. All right, so moving along, we've got a whole bunch of repeats. We did have the Mono Red Eldrazi, which I think we talked about that last week. Just kind of scrolling down, we see a lot of company, a lot of blue-white humans. So a lot of repeats. After these, we can kind of get into the differences, but we just don't have the time for all that. So why don't we move into the actual invitation itself?
Okay.
So,
I'm there.
First place was won by Max McVetti. I know he's played on a couple of Pro Tours. Still kind of a young guy, though.
I think he was placed 4th in the SCG.
Okay. And, he won the whole thing. So, who wants to cover his list? Because this is slightly different from what we've seen. Barely. Actually, you know what? Let's not, because it's just the blue-white humans with the blue taken out and Archangel of Tides thrown in.
Yeah, but we can talk about Archangel of Tide. This card's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, this card in the mirror is excellent.
Yeah.
Because it really taxes your opponent's mana. Every creature they play is 1 more mana they have to be able to play as well to attack with it. Okay. It kills a lot of stuff. It blocks a lot of stuff. And it helps you when you attack. I mean, with always watching, it is always untapped.
Very true.
Both of its abilities become relevant, like, all the time. It's just a really good card.
So why only have 1 in the main and then relegate the rest of the sideboard?
Because it's a 4-drop and you've got 20 planes.
Oh, jeez. Man, these mana bases are so different now from what we were used to leading up to this.
That's probably the same reason. Don Perry mentioned there's no Avacins in this deck. So
Nope.
Probably for the same reason that it costs 5 and he doesn't want to get to that.
Yeah. I mean, I have to wonder whether you could, like, throw 2 more planes in this deck, play an Archangel and a couple of Avacins, whether, it would slow down, but would it make it better? I just wonder.
Yep. Now, he beat the second place guy who was also playing Bant Company, and he beat him 3 games to none. Yeah. Bob, how do you feel about being our resident Bant Company guy? How do you feel about this matchup?
It's all right. It's not the end of the world. If they get a really fast hand, you're kind of on the back foot. Collected Company can get you back in the game, particularly if you hit a timely Reflector Mage on a Lieutenant or something. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if they have like a nut draw where it's like, turn 1 Thraben Inspector, turn 2, 2 other 1-drops, turn 3 another 1-drop, and Athalia's Lieutenant, it's just, it can get out of hand really, really quickly. If their turn 2-drop is like a Knight of the White Orchid, and then their turn 3 is another 1-drop and Athalia's Lieutenant, then they're crashing into you with 5 power, 3 of it is first strike. That's really, really awkward for a Bant Company deck. I played against this on last Monday night, and it was okay. You know what happens is the games actually can go really long, because if they don't kill you quickly and you can just kind of develop your board, it just becomes who can do combat math better, and who can block better. If you're playing Bant Company, you want to chip away at their creatures. So you're going to take damage. You just want to continuously try and trade with their creatures. Because what you have is the inevitability of either doing something like drawing a Sylvan Advocate, right, which can really ground up their game and turn your lands on, or drawing Collected Company, getting your Reflector Mages out there. Tireless Tracker becomes really important because you can draw cards they can't. So if you can get to the point where you're just dropping lands and popping clue tokens, you're in a really good spot. But if they have a nut draw with this deck, they can just run you over.
All right, there's one sideboard card I want to talk about in this deck. The 3 of Hanweir Militia Captain. He's a vanilla 2/2 for 2, so he's a bear, but he flips into a creature that has power and toughness each equal to the number of creatures you control, and then at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token onto the battlefield.
It's pretty good.
For decks that are removal light, for instance, like Bant Company, this is a very good card. If it doesn't get bounced, it's going to flip. And once it flips, it starts to get out of hand really, really, really quickly. Yeah. Every upkeep, you're getting another token. It's ticking its power and toughness up one more. If you're playing Bant Company, for instance, even if they bounce this, the tokens stay, and you just get to replay it next turn, and it'll flip almost assuredly. It's just a really good card, but it's not good in every matchup. For matchups that have a lot of spot removal, this thing's just a 2/2 for 2.
Yeah.
Don said in the chat, this is an angry bear.
Yeah. He's a very angry bear.
And its flip condition, by the way, too, is at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform him. So it's not the cast spells one.
Did you see what else is in this sideboard? Eerie Interlude.
Yeah.
2 and a white instant, and it exiles any number of target creatures you control and returns them to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. This card's awesome.
Yeah, so the fact that it's an instant, it could make for some amazing combat math.
I mean, it first off, it can blank removal.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, you can do stuff like, at the very least, you could flash out your Knights of the White Orchids to get your land drops.
Yeah.
But really, with and you can, Thraben Inspector works well with it because it'll flash her out and you'll get another token. But what this thing really pairs well with is your Thalia's Lieutenant. You just flash him out, you lose all the counters on him, but if you've got a large board, you just pump everything up.
It's like Gavany Township for 3.
And here's the best part. The thing is at instant speed. So you can really screw with somebody's combat math. If you swing in with everything in a Thalia's Lieutenant, and it's a big chunky creature, and they block it, with like a little 1/1, and they let the rest of your smaller stuff get through, and then you just flash out Thalia's Lieutenant and pump the rest of your team and kill them.
Yeah, or vice versa. If they don't block your Thalia's Lieutenant, flash out the rest of your team, and he gets gigantic.
Yeah.
Well, he gets gigantic the next turn. It comes in at your end step. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So it blanks a lot of... you can do it like at the end of their turn.
Oh, that's right. Good point.
So actually, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't do it at the end of their turn. I just had to read the card, but it can blank removal and do a lot of cool things.
Don mentioned that Hanweir Militia Captain. It counts itself.
Yes, it does.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, true. We should just add Don to the call. I mean, he's got all this input. So
I'd like to say this deck, it requires a lot of thinking, for sequencing. If you're playing first, then obviously you don't want to cast Knight on turn 2. You'd rather cast Thalia's Lieutenant so you can get the land on turn 3. There's a lot of interesting sequencing that can happen for this card.
Yeah. Well,
now,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to put Thalia's Lieutenant out on turn 2, or would you rather have a big board and then drop?
If you got a turn 1 play, why not?
It depends on what you're playing against. If you think your opponent's playing Languish or sided in Flaying Tendrils, you might if you think they've sided in Flaying Tendrils, you play Thalia's Lieutenant earlier to try to get your guys out of range, like a Thraben Inspector will become a 2/3. It's a question of whether you think you can overextend. If you think you can, you hold your Thalia's Lieutenant because you drop her and you plus your entire team up, and that's like a go wide strategy. But the Lieutenant also allows you to do a go tall strategy where you play it early and then you just continuously make it bigger and bigger if you think they have sided out a lot of their spot removal.
Okay,
cool.
All right, so in the second and third place we had Bant Company because that's a deck. Quickly breezing over the lists, I'm not seeing anything that's really jumping out at me. It seems like the areas for wiggle room are your Avacens, your Jaces, and your Nisses. That seems to be where people kind of give and take.
And Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, I was going to mention Tireless Tracker was a 2 of in most of the other decks.
Yeah.
This is a 3.
Yeah, and it's a 4 in the third place list. Okay. So
he's got a Sigarda in his sideboard, though. That's kind of cool.
Ooh, that's one we haven't really seen at all in this new standard yet.
3 green-white. Flying, you and humans you control have hexproof, and for 2 mana, he's 4/5. You can exile a card from your graveyard and put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield. And pretty good amount of the stuff in this deck is humans: Den Protectors, Duskwatch Recruiters, Dragon Slayer, Reflector Mage, Tireless Tracker, Jace.
Yeah,
I mean, they're all humans, so it works.
Yep. All right. In fourth place, we had green-white tokens. We talked about this last week, and we actually talked about this leading up into the new standard, that this might be a thing, the pairing of Gideon and Nissa.
Yes.
And it's kind of panning out. I'll run through this really quick because it's a pretty simple list. He's got 16 creatures, 4 Hangerback Walkers, 4 Elvish Visionary, 4 3-Bit Inspector, 4 Archangel Avacyn. And then he's got the Walkers, he's got 4 Gideons and 3 Nissas. Very simple land base, 7/4, 6 planes, 4 canopies, 4 fortified village, and 4 Westvale Abbeys, because why not?
No, because
if you're gonna,
that's it. Like that's
yeah, yeah. This is the deck for Westvale Abbey for sure. 4 Secure the Waste, 4 Oath of Nissa, and 4 Declaration in Stone, and that's the main 60.
I like the thing I like about this deck is it actually kind of laughs at Declaration in Stone a little bit. Hangerback's not very good against it, but all of the other stuff in this deck, so your Gideons and your Nissas, your Secure the Wastes, they all make tokens, but they make different tokens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your opponent can get rid of a bunch of them, but it's going to be very difficult for him to get rid of all of them.
Yeah, because you can make either Thopter tokens, Warrior tokens, Soldier tokens, or Plant tokens. So.
Yep. So,
all right. Very cool. I like this list, and I have the closest. This is probably the list I could probably build. Ah, crap! It's got Avacyn's though. Damn. Yeah, I've got almost every other card though. Anyway, Logan Mize, Bant Company, 5th place. We already talked about his list. Chad, why don't you take us through number 6?
Number 6, we got Big White, and that is what it's named by James Wager. And he's playing 19 creatures, 3 Archangel of Ties, 4 Eldrazi Displacer, 4 Knight of the White Orchid, 4 Thraben Inspector, 4 Archangel Avacyn, 3 Planeswalkers, 3 Gideon Ally of Zendikar. It's got 26 lands, 15 plains, 3 Battlefield Forge, 4 Cave of Koilos, 2 Foundry of the Consoles, and 2 Westvale Abbey, because why not? So we've got 4 Silk Wrap in the spells, 4 Stasis Snare, and 4 Declaration in Stone. Seems like a very straightforward deck. It knows what it wants to do, and it's going to try and get it done. In the board, we have 2 Hidden Dragon Slayer, 2 Reality Smasher, 4 Thought-Knot Seer, 2 Secure the Waste, 2 Limvala the Preserver, 1 more Gideon Ally of Zendikar, and 2 Planar Outburst. It's an interesting deck.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. So the Eldrazi Displacer kind of acts like an always watching for the Archangel of Tithes.
Yeah.
Just keeps it untapped all the time.
Yeah, it's I like this. This is it's a different take on the mono white. This is far bigger than the humans list. Yep. Plays a lot of the same cards. Ton of removal.
I like his Thought Knots in the sideboard. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and Reality Smasher, so he can kind of side into an Eldrazi plan. He can go with a control strategy. He's got Planar Outbursts. Yeah, this seems pretty decent. I like this one. But again, for Archangel Avacyn, what is she, like $50 now?
Just bite the bullet and go get her, all right?
I'm probably going to have to, honestly.
Listen, it could become... She's already seeing some play in Modern.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So,
what?
Yeah.
Who's playing her in Modern?
She was in a couple of the top 8 lists, or top 16 lists.
Oh, man.
Don thinks it's going to hit plus 75 Pro Tour, or 75 Pro Tour. Post Pro Tour.
Mark my words now. If you don't buy them now, you will be crying like you were with Jace. I'm not saying he's going to go as high as Jace. I'm just saying there was a time when Jace was $35.
Yeah.
And people were like, $35?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's when I got him on MTGO, and I'm so sad I didn't get him in paper.
Yeah.
Can I do this next one?
Go for it. Because
it's awesome.
This deck is fun as heck to play. I don't know if I'd play this in a tournament, but this is a lot of fun to play.
I thought we were going to let Bob rate it because he hated it, but I forgot it's Jason's fault.
No, Jason hates this. That's why I want to read it. It's Blue-Red Control by Jameson Purdue. Took 7th place. So 4 Thing in the Ice, 3 Jace Prince Prodigy, 3 Chandra Flamecallers, 4 Fevered Visions in the main.
Wow.
We can talk about that.
Well, yeah, we talked about it last week, but yeah.
Well, 2 Fall of the Titans, 2 Fiery Impulse, 4 Fiery Temper, 4 Lightning Axe, 2 Pyromancer's Goggles, 3 Magmatic Insight, 4 Tormenting Voice.
No, that's right. 2 Pyromancer's Goggle is the right call, not 3.
Yes, thankfully he's going down on those.
All right, whatever, Jason. They're awesome. 25 lands, 5 islands, 7 mountain, 4 Drown Your Temple, 1 Highland Lake, 4 Chivalry, 4 Wandering, 4 Morole. There we go. So here it is.
Yes.
In his sideboard, he's got 3 Sphinx's Tutelage.
There it is.
We'll get back to that. 2 Dispel, 3 Kozilek's Return, 2 Negate, 2 Rending Volley, 1 Void Shatter, and 1 Rise from the Tides. I'll read this guy. So this is a 5 and a blue sorcery. Put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Tap for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So looks like a late game sort of card.
Cool.
Alright. Where to start with this? 4 Fevered Visions in the main. That's ballsy. Like, you're going to that tournament saying, I am definitely winning the mid-range matchup.
Yeah.
Like, white-black mid-range is going to be so sorry it played me game 1, and it'll only get worse from there.
Yeah, because we talked about this at length last week, because I think it was a 4 of in the sideboard of Todd's deck.
Yes.
So this guy, Jameson Purdue, decided to move it straight to the main.
Yeah, and, it does beat... Fevered Visions does make Collected Company somewhat difficult. Tireless Tracker gets online. Drawing cards isn't as fun with this card.
Yeah.
So the Sphinx's Tutelage, my issue with this deck was always that it basically leaned on Chandra to win, or as a secondary win condition, you burn your opponent out, because every time I've seen this deck played, Thing in the Ice never lives. Like, if Thing in the Ice lives and kills somebody, they drew badly, they flooded out, they didn't have any removal. This Thing in the Ice dies almost immediately.
Dies to ultimate price.
Yes, it does. So it really relies on Chandra and secondary Fall of the Titans and maybe some Fiery Tempers with Pyromancer's Goggles to kill you. Mm-hmm. Tutelage gives it another access to attack from, which is really nice. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty ballsy, though. He basically threw 4 Fevered Visions in here and took his Kozilek's Return out and just said, you know what? I lose against Mono White.
Yeah, another comment from Don is he claims Fevered Visions just beats Collected Company. Oh!
Well, this deck.
I don't know about that. I've played my hand a lot with Collected Company. Although, I will agree with Don that because there's a lot more flash elements to Bant Company, you do tend to want to hold them back. So, at the very least, it'll make you play your Bounding Crisis to stop taking damage.
Yeah. It's,
uncomfortable.
I think the deck is solid.
That seems fun.
Pyromancer's Goggles has got to go. That's.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
It's
All right.
good.
I want you to play this deck.
Right,
I want you to play this deck for an FNM, and then tell me Goggles has to go.
Just imagine having Fevered Visions out, and it's all upside for you, and then you're like, so you got some clues over there. You want to crack those too? Because I could just imagine the banter that you could have on table with stuff like this.
Now, one thing I do like about Fevered Visions too is that you actually get to draw the extra card the turn you cast this. Yeah. Whereas a lot of other Howling Mine effects and things like that, you don't get to draw the card the turn you cast. Your opponent gets to draw the extra card first. Yeah. That doesn't happen with Fevered Visions, which is pretty nice.
Yep. The artwork's like old school artwork too.
Yeah.
All right.
And then closing it out, we had Mr. Jerry Thompson playing Blue-White Humans. We've talked about this already. I don't see anything really that different. 3 always watching instead of 4. I guess that's personal preference.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, should we move on to the Star City Open that also happened this weekend?
That's right.
We can do that.
All right.
I just wanted to get here fast enough.
All right. Yes, I sure did. Well, somebody's going to want to read that 4th place list too. But first place, Joshua Dickerson, Green Red Eldrazi. You thought it was dead, you thought it was gone, but no, sir. No, I say. So I'm going to read this list.
It actually is dead, but that's okay.
Hey, it's enough out of you. 12 creatures, 4 Jetty Offshoot, 4 Worldbreaker, 4 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. He is not messing around. 3 Chandra Flamecaller. For spells, he's got 4 Kozilek's Return, 4 Oath of Nissa, 4 Explosive Vegetation, 4 Nissa's Pilgrimage, 4 Nissa's Renewal. 25 lands, you know what they're going to be. He's got a Singleton Waste, a couple of Cinder Glades, and then 4 Sanctum of Ugin and 4 Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. Now, this is a deck that I can get behind.
I will say that if you're gonna build ramp, this is how you do it. It does one thing. It does it really well. There's no messing around. Plays the Jotty offshoots early for life gain and chump blocking, and then it just goes right into 4 Kozilek's return for killing small creatures, and everything else in this deck, main board, simply gets you, either gains you life to keep you alive, or gets you to your land drops to cast your World Breakers and Ulamog's or your Chandras.
Yep.
I mean, that's it. Doesn't mess around at all. There's no fat on this deck as far as its game plan.
And honestly, it's pretty ballsy going with only 4 red sources and 3 Chandras because he does have Oath of Nissa. But yeah, only 4 red sources total in this deck.
I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I mean it's
you'll find. I mean, you can get them. You can get them with explosive vegetation.
Oh sure, I'm just saying it's. Yeah, he's not playing around. So yeah, this is my deck. This is my jam right here. Congratulations, Josh. Well done.
Do you want to lose a lot at FNM? I'm just curious. I mean, if you enjoy it, that's fine. I mean, your preference is your preference. I mean, as Don said, even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
Man, all right. Oh God, I'm just looking at all the band companies in this list. Ugh.
So
anyway. Yeah. All right. So second and third were also band companies. Do you guys see anything special? It's the same old. You get used to these lists, people. They ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Just memorize the list. Learn how to fight it, and your deck will be better for it.
Look, the deck is good. I'll say this: the deck is good. It's like, in some ways, it's like Rally the Ancestors, where you could play that deck semi badly, and still, do well. With this deck, not that you could play it badly, and I will say that Rally really rewarded people who knew how to play it and knew all the triggers and knew how to stack stuff.
Yeah.
This deck is the same way. I mean, it's powerful. You can play it badly, and if you're not playing against a very good opponent, the power sometimes will just carry you through. But knowing when to time stuff, knowing when to cast stuff, will really pay off for you if you invest the time in learning the deck.
So in second place, we have the Bant Company, and it's running 4 Jace Vryn's Prodigy. I think that's right. I mean, that's just my personal preference.
I've been playing with 2. I don't miss him that much.
I would just think that being able to flash back collected companies, Dramoka's commands would just be key in this deck. They were in the previous format.
The problem is, man, having 1 in your opening hand and then drawing a second one at some point before you have 5 cards in the yard, it's just horrible.
Yeah, it's not like the old days where you can
it's really not
easy.
It's really not, particularly with all the exiling stuff that's running around. It's just not.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's go ahead and move into fourth place. Chad, I think you should go ahead and just read this.
Right. Blue-Red Tutelage by Noah Walker. So I think we're going to see a lot of the same from before, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay, so no thing in ice. It's just running 4 creatures, 4 Jace Vryn's Prodigy, 3 Planeswalkers, 3 Chandra Flamecaller. It's got 26 lands. Those are 6 Island, 6 Mountain, 3 Drowneyard Temple, 3 Highland Lake, 4 Shivan Reef, and 4 Wandering Fumarole. In the spells, it's got 4 Sphinx's Tutelage, 4 Fiery Impulse, 3 Fiery Temper, 1 Kozilek's Return, 2 Lightning Axe, 2 Send to Sleep, we'll get back to that, 4 Oath of Jace, 3 Magmatic Insight, and 4 Tormenting Voice. Man, I'm like stepping over my words today. So, 2 Send to Sleep. Send to Sleep is 1 generic, 1 blue. So, yeah, 1 generic blue. I don't know if I say that right anymore.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Instant, tap up to 2 target creatures. If you have Spell Mastery, if there are 2 more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap steps.
Yeah, it's a pretty good chance you're going to have Spell Mastery online.
Yeah. And the board, it's running 4 Thing in the Ice.
There you go.
3 Fevered Visions, 2 Dispel, 1 Just the Wind, 1 Kozilek's Return, 3 Negate, and 1 more Send to Sleep. Just the Wind reads 1 and blue, return target creature to its owner's hand. This is an instant, and it also has Madness for...
Oh, it's the crappy unsummon.
Yes.
Well, it's obviously not that crappy, because he's playing it, and he top-8'd.
He did. It just seems like this is the reversed sideboarded deck of the other deck we were talking about.
Yeah. It's like you just kind of shuffle all the 75 and just like pick the...
I think this is good.
I mean, look, there's not a lot of enchantment removal in this format, so I mean, you land a Sphinx's Tutelage, it's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Anguished Unmaking, but that card's not played a whole hell of a lot, particularly in main boards.
And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just think about this. You've got Sphinx's Tutelage on the board, a bunch of cards in hand. You cast Chandra, and you 0 Chandra.
Yep.
Good game?
Good game.
Yes. I think going into this weekend, this is a good call because a lot of people are expecting Thing to Ice to be in the main. So being able to board it in after the fact, if you get that first win, I think works in your favor because they've probably side out most of the removal.
Sure. Yeah. All right, and Bob, again, as the Bant player, how would you feel sitting across from this?
Well, let's see. He's got. Let me go back to this list. So he has. Where the? Oh, here it is. I mean, let's see. Let's look at his removal package. Chandra's a problem. I mean, she wipes you. You can always, if you have a collected company after the fact, you can kind of pick her off. Yeah. Jace is fine. You just Reflector Mage him. He's no big deal. Fiery Impulse is annoying, not the end of the world. So Fiery Temper and Lightning Axe are pretty rough. I mean, it's not a twofer because you're still spending 2 cards to kill 2 creatures, but yeah. I mean, it's basically 2 mana to kill 2 creatures. It's extremely efficient against your deck. Send to Sleep, I can imagine, would be annoying. I don't know. I have to play against this deck. I think if you have like a fast hand, if you have... I will say, though, you play Dramoka's Command. So the Sphinx, they better draw a lot of Sphinx's Tutelage.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is the problem. I mean, if you have a Dramoka's Command, you're not using it to fight a lot of stuff. Like, you're going to use it to kill Jace. And that's a pretty harsh 2-for-1 if they go Jace into Sphinx's Tutelage, and at the end of their turn, you fight their Jace and make them sack their Sphinx's Tutelage. That's a pretty huge end of turn 3 into your turn 4 hit.
Yeah. Ugh. All right. So starting at 6th place, we have 5 Bant Company lists in a row, followed by a White-Black Eldrazi, and then we get into something pretty different in 12th place. So who wants to talk Naya mid-range?
I got it. 4 Deathmist Raptor. 3 Den Protector, 3 Lambholt Pacifist. Lambholt Pacifist is 1 in a green. This card's pretty cool. And it can't attack unless you control a creature with power 4 or greater. And at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast, you flip it. That's right. It is a werewolf. Mm-hmm. And when it flips, it becomes Lambholt Butcher, which is a 4/4. At the beginning of each upkeep, if you cast 2 or more spells last turn, transform the Butcher. So it's a 3/3 for 2. That can't attack, so it's got Defender, basically. Unless you have a creature with power 4 or greater, and it becomes a 4/4.
Okay.
4 Sylvan Advocate, 2 Archangel Avacid, 1 Dramoka's Command, 1 Limvala, 1 Nissa Vastwood's here, 4 Nahiri the Harbinger.
Ooh.
Not joking around, and 3 Nissa Voices Zendikar. 4 Dramoka's Command, 3 Declaration Stone, 2 Transverse the Uvenwald, and then 25 lands, 6 mountains, 6 forests, 1 mountain, 2 plains, 4 Canopy Vista, 2 Cinderglade, 4 Evolving Wild, 1 Fortified Village, 1 Game Trail, and 4 Needle Spires. Alright. The Deathmist Raptor Den Protector combo is good. Not as good with Declaration and Stone running around, but still not bad. I mean...
This list is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, 4 Nahiris, like, I guess, I'm trying to think, so Nahiri's a rummager, you +2 her, and you discard a card, and then draw a card. And
I would imagine,
it's a May ability.
Yeah, more often than not, you're probably just minusing her.
Yeah, for sure, but I just, man, Nahiri seems like she's just a card without a home these days. Like, all of her stuff is not bad. It's not amazing. Her -8 is really good. But just a card without a home.
Yeah. And you really have no way to deal with Planeswalkers in this deck beyond creature damage.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but I mean, you've got Dragonlord Atarka. I think what this deck basically wants to do is get Nahiri to 8 and then minus her and drop a Dragon Lord Atarka. I mean, really, that's kind of seems to be your plan here. Like, everything you have is recurable. It comes back. It's very hard to kill. It mucks up the ground. You have Avacyn in case they've got some flyers, and then you just have Nahiri. So you jam her on turn 4 with like a Lambholt Pacifist on turn 2, and a Death Raptor on turn 3, and Nahiri on turn 4, and then you just start plussing her up. Whether you're discarding or not, it's a May ability. So you just plus her up. You know, you play Avacyn on turn 5, or at the end of their turn 5, and then, you know, once you get her to 8, you minus her, and you go find your answer. You go find a Dragon Lord Atarka and wipe their board, or if you're behind, you find your Limvala. Nissa gums up the ground.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, it's an interesting looking list, and we've got another Naya mid-range 2 places down. Slightly different build. Running Chandra's in the Planeswalker packages instead of Nissa, and then still 4 Nahiris.
Yeah.
So, Naya could be a thing. Mana seems a little awkward, though.
Yep.
I mean, obviously 3-color decks are going to be a little bit rough. What is this green-white Megamorph? I thought we got rid of those lists.
Nope, it's still here. It's a thing. Everybody thought it was going to be a thing when the set rotated out, and it's still kind of a thing.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the Naya list without the red.
Pretty much. Chad, you want to read it down?
Yeah, we've got 23 creatures, 4 Deathmist Raptor, 4 Den Protector, 1 Hidden Dragon Slayer, 4 Sylvan Advocate, 3 Thraben Inspector, 2 Tireless Tracker, 3 Archangel Avacyn, 2 Nissa Vastwood Seer, and Planeswalkers 3 Gideon Ally of Zendikar. For spells, we're running 4 Dromoka's Command, 3 Oath of Nissa, and 3 Declaration in Stone. He's running 24 lands, and 2 of them are Westvale Abbey, because why not? In the board, he's got 1 more Hidden Dragon Slayer, 1 Lantern Scout, 1 more Tireless Tracker, 1 Evolutionary Leap, 2 Silk Rep, 3 Clip Wings, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 1 Dragon Lord Dromoka, and 3 Sorek the Huntcaller. So yeah, it's definitely old school Megamorph, but it seems like it's got a good end game with the Sylvan Advocates. It's got good protection with the Archangel Avacyns. With the Tireless Tracker, it's got the potential to draw. So it seems solid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, all right. Does. So there's one more set of deck lists that we're going to go over, and that's the 23rd and 24th place deck lists.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're good or not, but I like these decks.
Yeah, so these are white-black control, not the white-black mid-range or Eldrazi. These are straight-up control, so I'm going to go ahead and read through these. For creatures, he's got none. No
fun.
Creatures.
That's just fun to play with 0 creatures.
I know, right? So
nice Declaration in Stone, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's so good. So they do have 7 Planeswalkers, at least this list does. That's 3 Gideon Ally of Zendikar, 2 Ob Nixilis, and 2 Sorin Grim Nemesis. For spells, he's got a whole bunch. 3 Stasis Snares, 1 Anguish Unmaking, 4 Grasp of Darkness, 3 Secure the Waste, so there's some creatures, 2 Ultimate Price, 2 Declaration in Stone, 1 Descend Upon the Sinful, which is the board wipe that we talked about during previews. It's a 4 white, exile all creatures, and if you have Delirium, you get a 4/4 white angel token flying onto the battlefield. With Delirium. And then 3 Languish, 3 Read the Bones, 1 Ruinous Path, and 4 Transgress the Mines. He's got all the black-white lands, some Evolving Wilds, and 3 Westvale Abbeys, because why not?
Yeah.
In the sideboard, he's got 1 Quarantine Field, 2 Silk Wraps, 3 Hallowed Moonlight, suck it, Collected Company, 2 Ultimate Price, 2 Linvala, 1 more Gideon, 1 more Ob Nixilis, and 3 Duress.
So, all I can tell you is I don't understand why he's not running it's not Flame Tongue Kavu, it's the processor, the black processor, the Eldrazi.
Wasteland Strangler?
Yeah, why isn't running Wasteland Strangler? Like, I get you want to just blank creature removal, but that thing is a 3-drop that drops another 3-drop drops another 3 toughness creature, and 3 toughness is a thing in this format. And if it dies, like, whatever, it did its job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got enough exile effects in here. You've got Declaration of Stone. You've got Transgress the Mines to get stuff into exile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ob Nixilis, so against Bant Company, not a great card. Comes down, kills a creature, and then you collect a company on their end step and kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of like, it's slow. It does grind out some card advantage, but like I just don't know why you wouldn't play Wasteland Strangler. It's removal. I mean, it's a removal card.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, this one's pretty solid. And just to hop over real quick to the 24th, Matt Hoey, he changed up his Planeswalker package. He's running 3 Gideons, 2 Obnixilis, and 4 Sorin Grim Nemesis.
Yep.
And then a bunch of removal, just like the other one.
So Sorin comes down and basically could be removal by itself to just...
No, well, he very much is removal.
Yeah.
And you gotta remember, if you play Sorin in your deck, you don't have to minus him for exactly whatever the toughness of a creature is. So if he's going to come down and die no matter what, and you're just using him to drop a creature, -6 him. Gain 6 life. You might as well. Or -5 him, gain 5 life, and make them kill him.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. I like the addition of the single Dark Petition in the second list.
Yeah, he's running that in place of the Exile All Creatures spell.
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, it hits a bunch of stuff. It hits Grasp of Darkness. It hits Ultimate Price.
Hits the Virulent Plague in his sideboard.
Yeah, hits the Virulent Plague in the sideboard very well. Hits Read the Bones.
Yeah, I would say I think it's for a
Ruinous Path.
fifth Read the Bones right there.
Yeah.
Could be.
Cool. Flame Tendrils also on the board. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting archetype that we hadn't
and
seen
Infinite
before.
Obliteration. Wow, it hits everything in the board basically.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So the only other list, God dang, there were a lot of band companies. Holy crap. I'm seeing a white-red humans in 27th place. I don't know if this is worth talking about.
Sure.
Yeah.
So 4 Abbot of Carol Keep, 4 Dragon Hunter, 4 Expedition Envoy, 4 Reckless Bushwhacker, 4 Thalia's Lieutenant, 4 Thraben Inspector, 3 Kithian Hero of Akaros, 3 Always Watching, 4 Griftspoon, 2 Outnumber, 4 Declaration in Stone, 20 lands, 2 mountains, 10 plains, 4 Battlefield Forge, and 4 Needle Spires. So he is playing all 1 and 2 drops utterly and completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Abbot, I guess, gets you some extra card draw. The Needle Spires give you a little bit more late game. But, you know, and I mean, Reckless Bushwhacker, I think, is better with tokens, but still, not bad.
But I mean, between that and Always Watching, it's really helping your whole team just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Sure he is. So,
yeah.
That list. And then his sideboard, he's got 2 Felidar Cub, 2 Lantern Scout, 2 Hollow Moonlight, 2 Outnumber, 4 Active Treason. He is not messing around. Oh, okay, this is cool. And 3 Spark Mage's Gambit. So it's a sorcery for 1 and a red. Spark Mage's Gambit deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. Those creatures can't block this turn. So he's kind of using it as a just, you know, to help him push through some extra damage.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So, yeah, God, it looks like about half of these lists are Bant Company, but the other half, pretty good mix of different stuff. Some decks we hadn't seen last week. So, I'm happy with this.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Everybody mostly is on the Jim Davis plan until we find a way to destroy it.
Yep.
So,
All right, so we're running a little long here. We were going to do a listener-submitted deck list, and Brad Scott, thank you for your email, and I will reply to you maybe in the Facebook group, or just I'll reply to your email. Sorry, we don't have time. I was going to go over your list, but
we can push it next week.
We'll give you some feedback, buddy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, not a problem. So we got the Pro Tour next week. Based on what we've seen these last couple of weeks at the Star City, the Invitational, and the Opens, I just kind of want to get a feel for what you guys think we're going to see at the Pro Tour. I mean,
how about you want to do like a top card?
Well, I think we all know what the top card is going to be.
Reflector Mage.
Okay, that's Bob's. Go ahead, Jason. What is yours?
I mean, Collected Company, right? It's either that or Declaration in Stone will probably be the single most played card of the weekend.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I think it's going to be Avison's going to be top card.
As far as many copies, it's either Declaration in Stone or Reflector Mage, because Reflector Mage gets played in 2 different archetypes right now.
Yeah. And Declaration in Stone. If you play white, you're playing Declaration in Stone.
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a deck I've been working on that I would really love to see.
Actually, I should have called Westvale Abbey because that's probably going to be in every single deck.
Nah, you know what? It's funny. Westvale Abbey's not jammed in as many decks as we used to think it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, basically, here's my question. So we're already seeing this massive Collected Company metagame right now. Is this something that the pros are going to kind of attack? Like, are they going to shy away from Collected Company and try to attack Collected Company or attack humans? Because those have been the 2 most dominant decks. by far over the last 2 weeks.
So the last Pro Tour that I watched, it seemed like they were more about being on board with those decks than like fighting against them.
Right.
So I could see a lot. I mean, obviously we saw it this weekend, but I could see a lot of Bant Company. I could see a lot of human interaction type decks. I could see the human tokens deck, stuff like that.
It's kind of tricky. I would say if Bant Company was the only deck that was putting up really great numbers consistently, you just try to go over top of it. So maybe ramp or maybe just really big mid-range, but with humans running around, it kind of makes that really hard to do.
Yeah. Playing a slower deck is pretty punishing if you're playing against like the humans lists.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still some interesting interactions out there to be looked at. Personally, I think stuff like Thopter Control has some interesting interactions with Thraben Inspector and some other cards that have been put out in the set. You know, Thopter Spy Network, Gearper Aether Grid. Not that I think it's a deck, but I think the interactions are interesting. Yep. Maybe somebody can figure out how to break those.
I mean, with clue tokens, you're almost assured to have an artifact on the field.
Yeah, but it is kind of slow. But it does play. You could play it with white, so it gives you a lot of good removal. I mean, I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I mean, as far as predictions, I'm just going to go ahead and say I think I think one of these blue-white humans lists is going to take it down. That's my unprofessional opinion.
Okay.
So,
I think Collected Company will be in the top 8.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
tough.
Without question. All right, Chad. Any last thoughts on the Pro Tour?
I think it's going to be good. Like, I think it's going to be a really good watch. I don't think it's going to be those games that last forever, like the quarterfinals did, or the semifinals where it went 3 rounds, 120 minutes.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about it too. It was the Collected Company mirror.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be mirrors, but I think that WotC's going to do really well to get the right decks and the right matchups on camera, so that we see a lot of variety.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's of course starting this next weekend. They normally start on Thursdays, right, for the Pro Tours?
Yeah.
It's like a multi-day event. It's longer than any Grand Prix weekend or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, it's over. Is it all just standard or is it different?
It's standard and limited for the
draft.
Yeah, for all the Swiss rounds, and then top 8 is just standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so one other bit of news is Shadows over Innistrad is now officially out on Magic Online.
I
don't know. It is indeed.
Have you guys been picking up any cards yet?
I haven't picked. Yep. I just turned it on right before we started.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Work this weekend was horrible, so yeah.
Yeah, I went on there to buy some of the new cards for the black-white mid-range list, and I saw the prices. I'm like, I can wait on this. I mean, I've got a crap load of tickets saved up right now, but yeah, I don't want to pay $40 online for an Avacyn, $20 for a Sorin, so I'll wait a couple of days and see if the prices start trending down.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you, Bob? You playing anything online?
Yeah, I've been playing Bant Company. I have a...
Did I even need to ask that?
No, you didn't, but you did anyway, so I told you.
Yeah.
I have a deck that I've been working on since Shadows over Innistrad was spoiled completely that I'm still working on. So nice. I don't know if it's ready for prime time yet, but I think it's getting close.
Cool.
And I've got black-white mid-range kind of built on there. And I'm also, just because Collected Company is so damn good in Standard, I started playing it in Modern.
Hey, there's a lot worse things you could be doing in Modern than playing Collected Company. So,
and Don, to answer your question, I didn't buy that much on MTGO. I burned some tickets, but I already had Bant Company built, so I really didn't need that much.
Yep.
Cool.
So, I guess that's really it. We can just kind of close it out. Final.
I can crack a pack.
Oh yeah, why don't we do that?
Right,
so
let's crack a pack.
Chad wants to crack a pack. This is not an original idea by any stretch, but he wants to do this every week until Eldritch Moon comes out.
Why not? Why not? It's fun for all that get to see me do this.
And fun fact, I still have yet to open a single pack of Shadows over Innistrad.
Oh, that's so sad. Come on, I'm smelling the new card smell.
I know. Oh, I miss it.
It smells so delicious. All right, so we've got Griff's Boon in the uncommons, which is... Oh, I gotta turn off the stuff.
Turn off the stuff.
Yeah, because
What
it's
does that
got my blue screen, so everything that's blue on the card is displaying as nothing. All right, so got Griff Spoon. That's the new breakout card that Bob hated. And I got a flip card. I got a Duskwatch Recruiter, so
Ooh,
that card's going
very good.
And for the rare, it is Burn from Within.
Which one is that?
All right, I will read it. This is X Red, a sorcery, a rare. Obviously, I just said that. I don't know why I repeated it. Burn from Within deals X damage to target creature or player. If a creature is dealt damage this way, it loses indestructible until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So it's
okay.
a fireball for Ulamog, and that's it.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Cool. No foils?
No foils.
No pack
sad
foils.
face.
Feels bad, man.
All right, one of these weeks you're going to crack something really good, like a foil
That's what I'm hoping for.
Avacyn or something. So, cool. All right, let's move into final thoughts then and get this closed out. One of you guys go first, because I've got a lot to say when I get to my part.
All right, so I've been promoting my other podcast. No, I'm not. I'm taking Jason's stuff, but no. Every time we're getting on YouTube, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, it's DR4G3N. You can just type that in and it should go straight to it. You'll see Higher Standards live stream or episode 68, something like that. But just feel free to watch every week. And again, we are live. Next week we will be live on Sunday as long as everybody's schedules match up. I'm good for Sunday. But yeah,
as long as the Pro Tour's over. I mean,
yeah, I guess that's a good point. So looking to see you all, talk to you. Thanks, Don, for jumping in, and everybody that's watching right now and just lurking. Feel free to lurk. And Don, thanks for all the input today.
yeah, we should bring him on for the Pro Tour episode.
I am
Don.
down for that.
Don, are
That's
you
a
free
good
next
idea.
week?
Yeah, you want to come on?
Sunday at
Yeah.
8.
All right. Bob, any final thoughts?
Check out Jason's other podcast, projectvcr.com. He just put something up there. Also, if you haven't heard, for all of you out there that are leading a semi-unhealthy lifestyle, you need to take control of your life. Jason has almost reached his goal of running I don't know how many miles. And he has lost, 15, 17 pounds, Jason?
18.
He's 18. He's looking fabulous. He's attractive. His wife likes to touch him again. Everything is going well for him. So take control of your life and start being fit. It's not that hard. You just gotta get yourself motivated. Stop by Gamers Vault. Buy cards from us. Come play Mondays, Fridays. Moderns on Thursday. We'd love to have you down there if you're in South Jersey. Now I'll pass it off to Jason for his final thoughts.
I think these guys planned this ahead of time just to steal all of my thunder. But yes, Project VCR episode 15 just came out today. We reviewed Escape from New York, which I had never seen before. I also give my quick 2-minute review of Batman vs. Superman. There wasn't much else to say beyond a little 2-minute I don't know, rant. Yeah. So, and yes, I have been running a lot. I set a goal of running 150 miles in the beginning of February, and I have 5 miles remaining. I've just got up to 145 today. I got a Fitbit a couple weeks ago, and apparently you can add friends on that. So, if anybody out there, any listeners, has a Fitbit also, add me as a friend, jcroscom@gmail.com. I've already been added by David Schmuck and Travis McFarlane. And I will give a shout out to anybody who just adds me as a Fitbit friend. Or if you use the Map My Run app on your iPhone, add me as a friend on that as well. And yeah, I want to just see everybody getting out there, exercising, losing weight. It's spring, guys. Sun's out. It's actually warming up outside. So get out there and get a little exercise in. Go listen and subscribe to Project VCR. And I think that's all I got.
Oh, before we go, everybody be my friend too.
No, don't be Chad's friend.
No,
He's a jerk. So's Bob. I hate these guys. All right, and thanks everybody for watching on YouTube. We got a lot more viewers this week than we did last week. Yeah. And yeah, just keep watching us on YouTube every Sunday or Monday nights, depending on when we record. And join the Higher Standards Facebook group. We got 250 something people on there. It's pretty cool. Big shout out to all those guys that are posting every day. And yeah, that's all we got. So with that, we'll be back.
All right. Thanks, everybody that stopped by. Closing the stream.
Did Don answer us, by the way?
He said maybe.
You said maybe.